welcome to this episode of Behind the Wrestler. I know we haven't done one for a while, and I'm very, very sorry, but my guest at this time is none other than the man himself, Saint Finn, from the Church of Divine Light, who is run by James Shaw. Thank you very much for taking the time out and giving an insight of your story.
Yeah, man, no worries.
So the first question is, that you're probably going to be asked multiple times throughout your career. Who, when, and where inspired you to become a professional wrestler, and how did you go about it?
I always liked wrestling growing up, and then I kind of fell out with it. Not because I was growing up or anything like that. It just stopped playing on free TV. So, and then eventually I started getting back into it. I just was just like, oh, what's happening there? Oh, The Rock versus John Cena. Oh yeah, I know The Rock. And so I kind of got back into it then, and then I kind of dove back into the rabbit hole of like, oh yeah, that's what this person's doing, and this is how this works. And I started getting new favorites. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? Never heard of him. But then I was just noticing how passionate I was when I was talking to other people about it who were also into it.
Right. And
then one day, basically as a joke, someone tagged me and like, hey, you should attend this wrestling training since you talk about wrestling so much. And I went, yeah, that'll be funny. 4 years later, here I am.
Nice.
Because I went and I had a bunch of fun, made some friends, some lifelong friends. So far. And I feel they're going to be lifelong friends. They're some of the closest friends I've ever had. But yeah, it was something that had given me so much joy and given me so many positive emotions. And I thought, like, I'd like to do that for other people. I'd like to kind of give back to something that had given me so much. And I also like being the center of attention. So as every other wrestler does, otherwise what would it?
Yeah.
Admit it, you do. That's otherwise you wouldn't be in the wrestling ring. It's literally like the center,
and like, as you mentioned, being tagged in a post and stuff, and going to IPW and doing the IPW tryouts and stuff. What was your first initial thought about going in, and how did you prepare, and what was your thoughts about your first training session?
Well, my initial thoughts going in was a bunch of self-doubt. It was one of those things that I didn't tell anybody I was going, because I didn't want people asking me afterwards, oh, how'd it go, if I didn't make it. And I hate having, when you tell people, I'm going to do this thing, and you tell everybody, I'm doing this thing, and then it doesn't happen, and they go, oh, how was it?
Yeah.
And you go, I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, so I didn't tell anybody, because I didn't want to do that. And so I ended up going. Only my girlfriend at the time knew, my now wife. And it was really good. I did better than I expected that I would, or maybe it was just everybody else around me was worse than I expected. A few standouts who, the names you recognize them, like Jamie, the big champion most of the time, Jamie. There was Will, Keanu, known as Horace.
Yeah.
A few others as well who either can't remember or can't be bothered.
And like going from your first training session and stuff, and getting a couple of training sessions under your belt and stuff, learning from guys like Jake, and Charlie Roberts, who's like the bar of New Zealand professional wrestling, and getting the opportunity to, Charlie Roberts taking pretty much all the newer guys coming in under his wing and taking all of these classes with him and going step by step with stuff. How was your first training session with Charlie Roberts, and what were you expecting from him, as he's known as like being pretty intense when it comes to training?
Well, initially it wasn't Charlie Roberts who was taking a lot of my trainings. He was taking the more advanced sessions at the time, and we were doing the basic trainings, which would be with Alfred.
Right.
So when we started with Charlie Roberts, or we're just going to call him Rob. I'm just going to call him Rob. So yeah, I was taking trainings with him. I could tell, I was a bit, I didn't know how to approach him. I didn't know whether he liked me or not. But eventually, as I kept on interrupting training sessions by being annoying, I eventually could tell while he was annoyed I was interrupting my trainings, he still found me funny.
Right.
So so we came pretty close. And I think he realized I was better than most of the people I was training with.
Right.
At least athletically. And then, I mean, a lot of those guys aren't around anymore, so I'm not comparing myself to those that are still around. It's the ones whose names you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and he actually became a really close friend of mine. And I really look forward to training with Rob. Anytime I see him, I look forward to it.
And like getting the opportunity of finding out about your debut match and about debuting, and you're going to be walking out the curtain and stuff, and you're going to be living something that you've talked about for so long. How did that come about? How did you prepare for it, and what was the experience like?
Do you mean my debut for IPW or my debut first ever match in front of a live crowd?
Well, let's go with
those
both.
are two very different. I don't actually know what my debut for IPW was. I can't recall. I think because it happened way later than I was planning on having it happen, or anybody else was planning on happen. Because for those who don't know, I started off refereeing.
Yeah.
Because again, it was the self-doubt thing. I thought, I'm not going to be a wrestler. Look, I'm short, I'm pasty, I'm not in shape. Everybody who's a good wrestler is tall and tanned and in shape.
Right.
So I thought, and so I started off refereeing. So they wanted me to wrestle sooner than I was ready to or felt comfortable to. But then as I got sick of refereeing matches that were worse than what I feel I could put on, I went, yeah, actually, I'm gonna wrestle now because this is frustrating.
Right.
Watching people worse than me do worse than what I think I could do.
Right.
So my first ever match, we were in Armageddon in Tauranga, and I'd just been refereeing, and then we were driving to a PWE show, which is based in like Hamilton, Tauranga, that kind of area,
right,
south of Auckland. And on the way there, Rob texts Ryan, who's known as Little Ted, in the back, saying, "Does Finn have his gear with him?" And he just asked me, "Hey, Finn, do you have your gear?" And I went, "Yep." Went, "Okay, cool." So they were organizing me to have a match without my knowledge, because Rob's tag team partner, Curtis Castlewood, as he wrestled as, had pulled his hammy earlier that day.
Right.
And so I was fixed to be his replacement. And basically I turn up at the venue. We turn up as the show is basically starting.
Right.
We're the second match, and Rob says, "All right, you're my partner. Here's some of my gear, so we look matching. Put this on." And we're facing Savage and Stone, which was Alex Savage and Will Stone at the time.
Yeah.
Bitter rivals now. And I couldn't hear any of the match that was being planned. We didn't know who was going to be face, who was going to be heel. All we knew was there was a finish. So literally, as we went through the curtain, I was going like high-fiving the fans and then kind of pulling back. Am I a heel? I don't know what we're doing. I look back, Rob's high-fiving the fans. He's like, "Yeah, we're the faces." And I've been going, "Yeah, oh no, we're good guys." Oh, literally had no idea. I got announced as the wrong name. That was cool. Which has stuck with me. And the match, it wasn't the worst match. Not even the worst match on the card, but as like I was putting my ring gear on and Rob's telling me, "All right, so we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this." But there was so much blood in my ears from being nervous. My ears were ringing. I couldn't hear anything. I was just concentrating on, yeah, tie your shoes properly, mate. Yep, all right. And so we were making it up as we go along, to the chagrin of Alex Savage, who likes a bit more preparation for his matches.
Yeah, he does.
And that's just how he does it. I mean, most of us would have liked a bit more preparation for that match because it was basically, we didn't even know who was who. And in that match, do you remember the finish, Savage and Stone?
Yeah.
The flapjack into the X Factor, I guess you'd call it, or Face Buster.
Yeah.
So I'm in the ring with Guy, and he calls flapjack because that's just a move he knows.
Yeah.
I don't know if he really realized at the time. this is part of my finish. So he whips me off the ropes, does a flapjack, but I felt him let go. He claims he didn't. I'm not saying he did, but I felt him let go.
Right.
And I started to over rotate.
Oh.
And so I took a very high flip back bump on my shoulders. I haven't ever seen the footage again. I want to, but apparently it looked like I broke my neck.
Oh.
I was fine. I didn't land on my neck.
Okay.
I just tucked very last second. And then as he's pinning me, I'm like, because I couldn't remember what the finish was. Right. Not because I'd knocked my head or anything. I just blood in my ears, And I went, is that the finish? 1, 2, no, 3, kick out. Oh. Ding, ding, ding. one of the worst finishes to a match. And that was my debut match. Was losing to a flapjack by accident, but kicking out strong, looking weak and strong at the same time. Yeah, I'd have to double check. Maybe you can just cut out this bit while I just look it up, because I write down all my matches and things.
Right.
I'm just going to look up when my first IPW match was. Other than Armageddon matches, they don't count.
Right. Yeah, Armageddon's are tryout matches to see who meshes together and who doesn't mesh together.
Yeah, it's also who turned up and who do we want to beat up.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. That's right.
If it makes you feel any better, you're not the only person who kicked out at a 3. I have kicked out at a 3. And the ref
on purpose.
No, not on purpose. Oh, actually, yes, on purpose. On purpose. I kicked out at 3, and the ref counted the 3, but it was meant to be like that close count.
2.9.
Yeah. And then like he counted the 3, but I'm sure my shoulders were up before then, and he's told to ring the bell, and that was the end of the match. I lost to a drop kick.
Do you think that's the worst ending in the match?
For
you?
Yes, yeah. For me, yes. Because like
you've been involved with,
because like he did the side drop kick to the face, and I'm like, okay, cool. He wanted that near fall before he hit his finish, and I'm like, okay, sweet, done. We do the near fall thing. The ref counts to 3, and the bell rings, and we're like, huh, what happened? And the ref comes to me and goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's all right. I'm not pissed. I'm okay with it. The other guy's pissed.
Yeah.
and that guy currently is in Japan.
Are you gonna name names?
Am I allowed to? Graham, are you gonna hurt me if I do? His name was
your platform, man.
His name was Taylor Adams.
Yes, I mouthed it along when you said it, just in case. I was like, that was my guess. I bet it was him. Yeah,
it was him.
Yeah, get on him.
Yeah. It was definitely him. I see the few things that he does in Japan and the stuff he posts and stuff now, and he changes his hair color a lot, is what I'm gonna say.
yeah, man, you've got to keep it fresh. I've never changed my hair color. I've done everything with my hair except dye it. Like I haven't been bald, but I've had a mohawk. I've had a rat's tail. I've had an afro, and now I just settle on this. It's easy to maintain. I'm actually having my hair cut today. This was too long for me. So.
Fair enough.
I got to look like my shirts, man.
Speaking of that, Saint Finn does have t-shirts. So would you like to promote your t-shirts?
Absolutely. But in terms of promoting my t-shirts, the online ones, I would prefer to have the fan interaction of buying them in person.
Right.
Because not only do I get to see their face when I hand them the shirt, but I also get to see a bit more money from it. Because if you go to support me, I get more money from those ones that are coming in person, if I'm going to be honest. I think I've only had a few online sales, and one of them was the person that designed it. So they actually, the person who designed my shirt they designed it, chucked it on the website, and then bought one straight away. They actually got to have my shirt before I did, because I went and got mine physically made from a printing company. So that was very nice of them to do that for me. And I've got more coming on the way. I think I should cut this if it's not true. Wait, when will this get posted? Will it be after the next Hughes show?
No, it will probably be sometime next week.
Sweet. Well, I'll say both and cut whichever's false. I should have new shirts by the time the next Hughes shows comes around. New design, just as comfortable as the other ones I was selling. I reckon these ones are cooler. They also don't have my face on them, so it's not embarrassing to wear. Or the alternative is, hey, I've got my shirts basically exclusively online because I've sold out of all my other shirts.
Nice.
Took me 2 shows, and I've got 3 smalls left, so I'll bring those to the show. 3 smalls.
Nice.
Smalls are hard to sell because they're too big for children, but not a lot of wrestling fans are smaller than me.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'll take a small.
$40. No.
For you, $40.
Why aren't you wearing one for the stream, man?
I don't have one. I don't have one on me today.
Oh, I guess it, man.
So getting a couple of matches and stuff under your belt and going from your debut and stuff and redeeming yourself from your debut, I hope so.
No, I don't think I've redeemed myself yet. Still my best match, man.
And like getting the opportunity to join up with James Shaw, who's been around for a very, very long time. And he's basically done it all. He's held multiple championships.
Yeah, I think it's like 402 championships. He's been around for like 45 years or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
That's what he tells me.
Yeah. Getting the opportunity to work with him and be partnered up with him and create this Church of Divine Light and come together with all of that. How did that opportunity come about, and how did you prepare for it, and what is the experience like so far?
It was actually pretty involved. So what happened was he messaged me on Facebook just saying, hey man, do you want to tag and we'll do this this like religious gimmick thing? And I went, yes. That's the story.
Just yes.
No, it took a while for it to come to fruition. Because I think he texted me in like January, February, and I was like, yep, okay, we'll do this. Yep, here's some wrestling gear and yada yada yada. It's about August, I think, by the time I actually debuted, which was a little bit frustrating. But
right.
I think now, like, I'm still associated with James. We tag a bit, but he's also got Burns, the more experienced wrestler.
Right.
So I'm trying to create my own brand within the brand, if you know what I mean. So, like, people can like the Church of the Divine Light, but I want them to like Saint Finn.
Right.
So that's also why I'm not going with the whole Young Nats thing, because I don't want to get the whole political and religious thing all confused and muddled, because like I am fighting to build a brand in a way, using the Church of the Divine Light, but also separate too. Like I can be an individual within the group, because I don't want to be one of the lackeys, one of the henchmen, I guess you could say, or hench boys.
Hench boys.
Don't know if you could call them men. But yeah, I want to do that. I have a lot of fun doing that. It lets me get my creativity out, more so than my athleticism. Because as I get older, my creativity is, I'm maintaining that, but my athleticism is going down. Getting old now, man.
It's that married life, man.
Great, I love it.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
Happy spouse, happy house. Thank you.
Fair enough.
It's going to keep me happy too.
There's an opportunity that you got with to wrestle Charlie Roberts one-on-one, and it was on a Hughes show. It was kind of just thrown upon you and thrown on a fly.
Not kind of, it just was. Yep.
It really was.
Hey, do you want to have a match? Yep. When? Oh, tonight.
Yeah.
With who? Rob. When? 10 minutes. Okay. How long do I have? 10 minutes. Okay.
Yep. Done.
That was it.
Getting the opportunity for that, and it was very, very like spur of the moment. But getting the opportunity to wrestle someone one-on-one who has trained you and guided you so far and is continuing to guide you and is one of your closest friends, getting the opportunity to share the ring with him as an opponent, what was that experience like?
It was nerve-wracking because I felt like I had to prove something, especially, I believe that was my first huge show experience.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to prove something to prove that I belonged there, or that I could even surpass people there. That's always the goal. Like, it's not a knock on anyone, but I want to be better than everybody else. And everyone should. I don't want to bring other people down to do it. I want to build myself up.
Right.
So it was nerve-wracking of just having that pressure of, hey, match pretty much on the fly. However, it was also comforting knowing that it was someone who I'd done that with in training.
Right.
Someone who was out there that was safe to work with, who would protect me, who had my best interests as well as his own in mind. Like, so it was equal parts nerve-wracking, but comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't want to have done that with anybody else.
Fair enough. I think everybody says that when they're thrown in that situation and goes, "Oh, who's my opponent?" Oh, it's Charlie Roberts, and they're like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah. Phew. Yeah.
It's as soon as you hear his name and he's going to be your opponent, like, yes, it's nerve-wracking, but once you're in there and adrenaline is there, like, everything just goes out the window and it's you and him just going at it.
Yeah, because we've me and Charlie going at it. I think he's been involved in more of my matches than anybody else.
Right.
Maybe even more so than James at this point in terms of PWE and IPW and mainly, like, student shows, practice and training and whatnot. Yeah, it's definitely been him. He's been the mainstay. So if I've done anything good in wrestling, it's probably due to him.
He's an amazing dude. He busts his ass on a daily basis to make things happen, and he was told and was in a position where he first started. And I know I sound like a broken record like this, Charlie Roberts, because I love telling your story about it. He was told he was never going to be a professional wrestler. He would never be able to be in the ring. He would only be either a referee, a manager, or a backstage interviewer. He took all of that in. He took all of that as motivation. He busted his ass and he became a professional wrestler. And now every single person that ever doubted him wants to step in the ring with him or wants to be taught by him.
And the chances are the person or people who told him that are worse at professional wrestling than him.
So, yeah.
Like that attitude within New Zealand wrestling of, oh, you'll never be anything, yada yada yada. Most of us aren't anything, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even really professional wrestlers. Where's the professionalism? I've got another job. I've got a career.
Yeah.
I've got a real job. You know, this isn't a job. And people say, oh, this business, this industry, this profession. It's like, no, this hobby.
Yeah.
That we're very passionate about.
Yeah.
For most of us. Some people are able to turn it into a profession, and great, amazing. But they're also not going to do it here.
No. Anybody who
cannot
says
be a full-time professional wrestler in New Zealand.
Yeah, anybody who says that is flat out lying. It cannot be a profession here. It may be later on down the track. We don't know. But at this point in time, it's just a hobby because everybody wrestles on a weekend.
Yeah, or a Friday night.
Or a Friday night. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, like anybody who's any good at professional wrestling in New Zealand has either gone overseas to be a professional wrestler, or they're not from New Zealand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got your Ryan Ringos, you've got Niwa, you've got Aaron, you've got cancelled people, you've got, I'd say Rob is probably the best one that I know who hasn't left the country to pursue a full-time professional wrestling career.
Yeah.
To still be in the country.
Yeah.
He also has great hair. He paid me $20 to say that. So.
he
$100 for everything else we're saying for him, man.
Yeah. he also got when New Japan came over here and did a show at the Trust Arena and stuff. He was there at Fale Dojo because we were helping with the ring and we were setting up the ring and stuff and trying out things and making sure the ring was working prior to the show happening. And Rob was there every single day. We were there after work and in the rain, whether it was raining, whether it was cold outside, he was there and he was busting his ass. The New Japan tryouts that me and him did, he busted his ass. The opportunities that he got after that, he busted his ass for. So when New Japan came over here, and not much people know this story, and I hope people are not going to kill me for saying this story, but I'm going to say it anyway, and I think people should know the story a lot more. When New Japan came over here and there was an opportunity for an opponent, for a New Zealand wrestler, to wrestle one of the New Japan guys, and that was going to be Goto. So what happened was the night before the show, when they were setting up the arena, everything was done and sorted. Goto, Charlie Roberts, and I'm just going to throw his name out there, Paul Sayers was there. They had a match in front of Goto, and Goto was going to pick who he was going to wrestle on the show. Goto picked Charlie Roberts. So Goto picked Charlie Roberts due to the social media presence that Paul Sayers had at that time about him wrestling Goto and doing all of the social media stuff that New Japan or the management of around that show gave the match to Paul Sayers purely because they didn't want any backlash from the social media stuff. Good on for Paul for getting on social media platform and getting the stuff behind him. But Charlie Roberts was handpicked by Goto for that match. Even though Charlie Roberts didn't get to do that match with Goto, Goto has a lot of respect for him because he said, we're going to give it to Paul Sayers. Charlie Roberts just said, yep. They also gave him an opportunity on the show with John Strowman, and he did an amazing job for a guy who couldn't move that much purely because he was injured in that show. Strongman was injured on that show, so they did the best that they can. You could see as Rob came out of the curtain, standing on that stage, everything that he went through came to him. So everybody that said that he wasn't going to be nothing, he wasn't going to do this, he wasn't going to be da. He was standing on that stage and he was looking down the aisle on a New Japan show saying, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
So like,
good on him. He's one of the hardest working people I know. Probably the hardest working person I know.
He really is. He sends me Snapchats of him like at the gym at like 6 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, or like he has to do real job stuff at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he goes to the gym after that.
Yeah, just 4.5 hour conference calls at 3:30 a.m. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's all.
But like anybody who has the opportunity to not only wrestle him, not only learn from him, but also has the opportunity to get advice from him, I would highly suggest you take all of that in, because he has been around for a very long time. He has proven everybody wrong, and he is going to continue to prove everybody wrong. Nobody would give him an opportunity until a man named Graham Hughes came into the country and said, why isn't no one giving him an opportunity? And Mr. Hughes gave him an opportunity, and all he needed was that one opportunity.
Yeah. And you can buy Charlie Robertson's biography written by Kartik on hughesacademy.co.nz.
Yeah, cheesy plug right there. So yeah, like we are very grateful for Charlie Roberts. Without Charlie Roberts, there would there would be no Saint Finn, there would be no Kartik, because and without Mr. Hughes as well, and him being one of my life coaches, our older brother, a training partner, and a wrestling coach as well. he's an amazing guy. Like I could have strayed the path and gone the other direction, but he kept me in line and kept me in check. And he's one of the people that I'm very grateful for.
Yeah. And if you want to blame Charlie Roberts for the likes of Saint Finn or Kartik, one, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
And and two, no, that's all it was. What are you watching? Why are you still watching this?
Yeah.
It's just us two. Like,
yeah. Just us.
Get a life.
The other thing I want to ask you is what is the goals you set up for yourself as a professional wrestler? Have you hit all of those goals? And what are the new goals you would like to achieve as a professional wrestler?
That's a really good question, but unfortunately it's going to follow by a really bad answer.
Okay.
Because I don't have any set, concrete, very well constructed goals in my head at the moment. I'm working towards them.
Right.
But what I want to do is not only enjoy wrestling, which is a struggle sometimes, but two, like I said before, I want to build a brand.
Right.
And I think there's a big focus in New Zealand on the wrestling aspect of wrestling.
Right.
Yes, I think that's very important. No, I don't think I'm very good at it. But the thing that people go to professional wrestling for is to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do. I want to continue to entertain because I know I'm entertaining. I know people will laugh with me and at me. That's what I'm best at.
Right.
Getting an emotional reaction out of people. I've had shows where I've had the best match and I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
There should be people better than me. But I don't want it to be because I want to be better than everyone.
Right.
Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I want to be entertaining. I want to have fun. I want to build that brand. That's why I've started getting into selling t-shirts at shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the t-shirts that are making the sales. It's me. It's not I've got the best design on the show. It's definitely not that.
Right.
Not that it's a bad design, but they're doing it because they've invested in me and they want to support me and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like at certain shows, it'll be my salesmanship. They know I'm a bad guy. That's the most confusing part. Hey, like there was a show at Heathens Combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selling my shirts before the show and during intermission, even though my match was second to last, because I wanted them to invest in me before I even came out of the curtain.
Right.
Yes, it was breaking that barrier between like, oh, you shouldn't be mingling with the fans. You should be separate from the fans. It's like, I'm still a fan. It's New Zealand professional wrestling. Right. This isn't my career.
Yeah.
I'm going to show everyone that I'm shorter than them and that, whatever. Like, that's up to me to determine whether I want to do that or not.
Right.
I managed to sell shirts to people who knew I was a bad guy and who knew I was losing. And for them, it was also important that I was losing to a woman. I don't care. I was losing to Brittany. I ended up having a good match with her.
Right.
But I sold a bunch of shirts before the show. Even though they knew I was a bad guy who was going to lose. Like, if you're just focusing on professional wrestling, who's going to buy a shirt off a loser who sucks?
Right.
I did it because they invested in me as the character, as the person, as the entertaining figure. Right. That's what I'm wanting to build. I don't want it to even have to be exclusively related to professional wrestling. I just want to be able to build that brand, and I'm working on it. Will I be successful? I don't know. I hope so. That's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal.
And in terms of what you were saying for achieving my goals, my biggest goal is I want to create something that I'm proud of. And because as most people do, I mean, I don't consider myself an artist, but people set themselves up, they compare themselves to a very high standard. They have very high expectations of themselves. I do as well. And so far, I haven't done anything that I'd be like, I'm proud of that. Stick a fork in that. That's done. Great.
Yeah.
Done things where I'm like, yeah, that was good. Or like, I'm proud of myself for having done it. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that's the gold standard. That's what I'm the best at. Yeah. That's my masterpiece. I want to have a magnum opus, whether that's one moment or whether that's a year of my life of like, look what I did in an entire year. That's what I want. Do I know what that looks like? No. How long do I have left to do it? No idea. It may not even be wrestling.
Right.
but it may be just about the brand of myself as someone who can entertain people.
Right. It's a very deep answer that I've gotten for that question from someone that, like, I've asked that question multiple times on this series of stuff that I do, and your one is probably the most deep and meaningful one that I have gotten.
I've been sitting on that one for the last few days, few weeks.
Nice.
Like I want to make a big change to what I'm doing.
Nice. And that's,
but also, like, I feel like if I can have a match where all I do is kick people in the gut and stomp and still have the best match of the night.
Yeah.
And is the wrestling part of it that important?
Well, at the end of the day,
the fans to determine.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is tell a story with our bodies and entertain people, and that's it. You know, if you do that by not doing complex moves, then you're in.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, you can't impress everyone.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. I want to impress. Like, that's the thing. I want to appeal to not only the hardcore wrestling fans, you know, the ones you see at every show, and bless them for coming to all of those shows, because I would struggle to pay money to see a lot of them.
Right.
And that's not a slight on anyone in particular or any show. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. But
yeah.
It's amazing that they can be fans of that, and like to be able to have them see all of that and still come up to me and say, "Oh, I really like what you're doing." I'm like, and you know, they've seen so much for so long, and mine stands out. In a way, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
Not proud enough, but that's, you know, like that's what's driving me, is not only appealing to them, the ones who've seen it all, and I can still make a name for myself and stand out, but also the ones who've never come to wrestling.
Yeah.
There was a show recently where someone said, if it wasn't for your match and this other match that I was also involved in, I probably wouldn't come back.
Right.
And the fact that someone can have that opinion of it, but like what I did manage to keep them around, I want to be able to do that to as many people as possible. You know, that guy who, he's a really big fan of wrestling, and he's brought his friend who's not, because he doesn't want to be lonely at the wrestling show.
Yeah.
I want to impress both of those guys.
Yeah.
Or girls, whatever. Like, I want to be able to maintain that casual audience, and I don't think professional wrestling is going to do that.
Right.
It has to be a mix. It has to be a show.
Yeah.
It can't just be match.
Yeah. That's the goal of if you're just focusing on getting your stuff in and doing your stuff, nobody's going to be invested in you.
Yeah. Hey man, I was never going to come back to wrestling, but then I saw your footwork when you did that snap suplex, and now I really want to come back.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said that.
No one's gonna say that. People may be amazed of like, oh, that was a good move, or that was a good sequence, or that was a complex sequence, or that was this and that was that, and that was nice and fancy. But what are you giving me to make me hold on? What are you showing me that I should be supporting you?
Yeah. I think a lot of people lose the lens of what it's like to be a casual fan. Like, a lot of people will watch wrestling and they'll like something, they'll like someone, but they won't even know why.
Yeah.
Until they dive into it a bit deeper, and they're like, you know, like, oh, Kurt Angle's footwork was amazing. That's why I really like him. That's not why you liked him as a kid. You liked him because he was entertaining and he did these moves and they were impressive. You don't even know why.
Yeah.
Yes, it was probably the footwork, but you're not noticing that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, the little things do make a difference. Like someone having the best suplex on a show, that is going to make a difference. That casual fan is probably going to notice, but they're not going to know why.
Yeah.
So I think focusing purely on that is not the answer.
Yeah, definitely not. What is next for Saint Finn? What are the projects you got coming up? What is new? What's happening? What is next for Saint Finn?
I've got t-shirts that should be on their way. And I also want to look into other merchandising opportunities as well, ones that aren't being capitalized on, ones that can be sold to casual fans, not just the hardcore fans, something that isn't going to be $25, $30.
Yeah.
You know, something that costs $5, $10, something like that. something that can just be a little bit extra from a show, other than a hot dog, a handshake, and a green colored note.
Fair enough.
Like if you're sacrificing 6 hours of your Saturday minimum, and you're sacrificing the health of your body, your mental state a lot of the time with some of the people you have to hang around with.
Yeah.
That's not doing it. I want to be able to walk away from a show having done something else, something that I've worked hard on as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of answering the question of what's next, that's a good question. That's something I'm asking myself as well. What can I do differently?
Fair enough.
We'll see.
That's a hard one to try and sit there and be like, okay, what's next? Everybody's doing this, but what's going to make me stand out?
Yeah, just because nobody's done it doesn't mean it's a good idea either.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell camping tents with my face on them. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Not a bad idea though.
I'm going to sell. Yes, it is. Yeah, no, we'll see. It's all in the pipeline.
Yeah. Is there anything or any advice that you would like to say for anybody who's going to watch this?
Keep supporting me and what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm doing my best to be able to deliver on what that support is able to drive. If you're entertained by me, please tell me. I need the affirmation. I need the endorphins. I need, and the money. Advice? No. Because if I give anybody advice, they'll improve, and then I won't be as impressive.
Fair enough.
Stay out of my way, please. If you're selling t-shirts, don't. Bad idea. Don't do it. Sucks. Stupid. Don't do it. That's my advice.
That's the advice. Thank you very much for taking the time out.
I don't know if you've heard this, but some people in New Zealand wrestling, fans alike, they find me annoying. Can't figure out why.
I can't figure out why either. I mean, I love you.
That means a lot.
Hey man, you're a good guy. Even though in the ring you're not so much.
Oh right, okay, yeah, a good guy. No, yeah, cool.
No, you're and outside of the ring environment. Yeah. So thank you very much for taking the time out and giving us an insight of your story. I highly recommend people to keep supporting Saint Finn, keep going out to see him, because he is very, very entertaining, and he is going to achieve whatever he is setting his mind to, and he will achieve every single goal with the help of people supporting him and being behind him, and giving him all of the advice and guiding him towards the right direction. So any chance you get to watch this man, I highly recommend it. He is very entertaining, not only outside of the ring, but also backstage, to try and calm down the hoopla that's going back down there.
That I'm creating. Yeah.
That he's also creating sometimes. But yeah, if you ever get an opportunity to watch this man real life, I highly recommend it. And I want to thank you for joining us for Behind the Wrestler, sir.
And Friday, 16th of July, we've got a Hughes Academy show in New Lynn. Come along, or watch any footage if you can find any, because it's guaranteed to be a good show. One, because I'm on it. That's reason enough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's reason enough.
Yeah, should be.
All right, and I'll catch everybody on the next episode of Behind the Wrestler.